and I slept. Me and Raymond were in the same duty section, and I was on duty that night, and I slept through the because they called they did a security alert, whatever, and I didn't happen to wake up, which was common for us, you and me slept through quite a few.
Wait, like what?
Unreps, whatever, like that cost us a couple days on what was it, Australia?
No, Thailand. They put us on liberty risk in Thailand.
Bastard. That's funny because I was telling that story about Suppo today when I smacked him with that egg on Wog Day, and he was hella mad about it.
Yeah, man.
That dude was gunning for us.
Dude, he had issues.
It was like his whole deal was he was just trying to boot people out. Like he didn't like anybody. He was just, I don't know what his deal was, but
he had a short man complex, and he didn't like
He didn't like people that didn't respect him the way that he thought he should be respected. And the fact is that in our eyes, if you deserved it and earned it, we would give it to you, no problem, because we're respectful people. But when you come in cocky and act like a hard ass and want to just ruffle feathers and be a dick, like, and we were younger at the time, we're obviously not gonna, we're not gonna adhere to that.
Well.
Yeah, no, it wasn't because you and me, I'm not saying we were defiant, so to speak, but we weren't bought into the whole yes sir, no sir mindset. Like we were free thinkers. You know what I mean? Like we were individuals. We weren't like bought into the system. We weren't lifers. We weren't the guys. And not saying that we couldn't have been, but we weren't broken of our spirit. You know what I mean? Like you and me.
Yeah, we weren't programmed.
No, you and me did not play the game at all. And
it always, I know that the beast with him and us and a lot of people was that we always logically looked at things and they didn't want that. Like, don't make me have to answer questions I don't want to, like, hey, you just have to do this. And I'm like, nah, well, let's think of a smarter way to do it. No, just do it this way. So,
right.
All right, whatever. I mean, and then you do definitely push the boundaries, right? Like, just to send up a middle finger or whatever. But there was more deeper rooted shit in that dude and just the current power structure that was going on in our boat at that time, where like they were making up specific rules that would say, hey, they would target us. Like, oh, hey, Cash, if you're in the barbershop, someone comes in and they're in here longer than 10 minutes, you're getting rode up.
Right.
Like, why would I get rode up? They're like, because you didn't tell them to leave. I'm like, all right, well, what if they outrank me? And if you want to play this G.I. Joe shit.
Right.
Like,
that's why they didn't like us, is because we were always able to think quick. You and me were able to think quick on our feet, and we're able to come back at them with something that they weren't ready for. They didn't have an answer for a lot of the shit that we would come back at them with, or in for that matter, anything. When someone's trying to tell us to do something, I'm like, why would we do like this? And they knew it made more sense, but they didn't think of it, or their boss didn't think of it, so it's not the way to do it. You know what I mean?
Do you remember when I had I told what do you call the people that are helping you with your orders? What old boy that was helping us with our orders?
Detailer.
The detailer on the boat, right?
Yes.
And he asked me to dance, and I told him you dance for him. He got me down in the library trying to negotiate orders for him, and he's like looking at me like, you want these orders? I'm putting my orders in, right? He's like, you should dance for us at a party. I do parties or whatever. And I'm like, nah, bro. Like, nah, he's like, wow, you'd be good at it, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, nah. It's like, it ain't like that. He's like, hey, he's being all playful. And then I told him, I was like, but you know who will? I said, Dallas will do that shit.
Oh, man.
Because I knew you were close to the orders too.
Right.
You know what I mean? So we were talking to him at the same time.
I know. I was trying to stay in Hawaii, and he didn't want to.
I was like, no, Dallas would do it. I did the same thing. I learned that move back in the day in high school. I did the same thing to Rob. You met Rob. I did that to Rob in class. Our English teacher me and Ronnie were in the class. She's like, yo, can you guys stay after? Can you give us a ride? Can you give me a ride? She was always like flirty. She's like, can you give me a ride home? And I was like, oh nah. I was like, I didn't drive, but Rob, I guarantee you, Rob will take you.
Dickhead.
I was like,
Little did we know what that dude was really up to, though. You know what I mean? At the end of the day.
Allegedly, right? I don't even know if there's any facts behind that.
All I know is what I know, and I'm telling you right now, dude wasn't right. Like, he was.
I know what I've been told, and I
Right.
know from what I've seen by the dude that claimed it.
Bro, he was walking around like he was he had, yeah.
Yeah, there was some
There was
definite,
something going on.
Yeah, there was some definite abuse going on in that situation.
Absolutely. Whatever the actual abuse was, but there was still something that was happening that you could tell that, you know, it wasn't right. Like, bottom line, there was something going on.
Yeah, I don't know what it is.
Not at the time when you look at it, because you're not worried about other people, you're just doing your own thing. But when you look back on it, you're like, yeah, there's probably something going on. Like,
I mean, this dude went AWOL and then came back with a missing tooth. And so he went off like he was running from something, but that's his story. Maybe if I ever find him, I can get him on. He can tell it himself.
Hey, do you honestly think? Oh shit, my bad. I need to silence this. Do you honestly think though that like other ships were as like wild as the Paul Hamilton?
I do.
I think like everybody had their own, you know.
I think so. I think everybody had their versions of us.
You know, you always want to think like, you know, like
we're super special, and you know.
But everybody's coming from, you know, and that's what the crazy part about the military was, is that you take people from all over the country, throw them together, and then they have to function as like one. You know what I mean? But
well, you just naturally, as a human species, herd-wise, you cling to people that have the same, you know, connections as you. So I think that's true for like, you know, on our boat, like, because realistically in the country, like, people are from the places that they're from, right? Like, that doesn't change. The only thing that makes it different is the dynamics that people have similarities, right?
Yeah.
Like sure. Everybody comes from Cali, everybody comes from Ohio, everybody comes from Kentucky, and all these different.
Why did everybody hate on Cali though? I don't get it. Like, everybody, like, everyone hated on Cali. Like,
I didn't hate on Cali. I don't know why. Who was hating on Cali?
Everybody from New York.
Oh, well, that's just because, you know, it's only like 99 is only like 2 years removed from the East Coast, West Coast beef.
It's funny though, because we always like would go back and forth on shit, and I would roast them, they'd roast me, like you know. But at the end of the day though, I will say this: when it was all said and done, when it was time for everyone to start, you know, moving their separate ways, I think we all kind of knew that what we had, like, we were all down for each other. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean,
remember that fight that happened because of like with the army guys, when them dudes rolled up, and then there was just a big.
Oh yes, I do remember that. That was the second barracks.
Yeah,
I remember that. That was where it jumped off when we had the room and we put the bounce fabric softener on our barracks door.
Remember that girl's hair getting lit on fire?
No, I don't remember that.
Okay, I don't either.
Yeah, I don't remember that. I remember you making a bet on a very specific girl about that it'd be a 12 rounder and not a fucking first round knockout. He's like, I'll put money up. My man's gonna go knock that out the park.
I was pumping you up. I was trying to get you dialed in.
Do you remember Skinny?
Yes, I remember. What?
That's what it was.
I'm saying, do you remember having fucking 8 people living in our barracks that weren't even in the military?
Yep. Two of them were my homies from Ohio.
I know. They came over to visit, and then they just moved into the barracks, and we're like, y'all can't live here. Like,
and then Jennings had his wife living, or well, soon to be wife living in that thing.
And there was like 2 other girls that fucking stayed there. You know, bro, we had like 7 people in that place, and actually, come to think of it, that wasn't even my room.
No, it wasn't.
I had a bed there, and it wasn't even my room.
Married.
I know, but I'm saying I had a bed there, and it wasn't even my room. Like, I had another room where I don't even remember who the fuck I lived with over there because who the fuck did I live with? Do you remember?
I just know you were staying at our place.
I know they assigned me a different room, and I was like, "Nah, I'm good." And I just kind of just moved into that one, and we just.
Yeah, once, for some reason, something happened. They did something, and then I moved into a room, and you had already got the place, right, over in Iea.
Yeah.
And I was still in the barracks, and that's when I was messing with she shall not be named.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was over there for a while, and you were already living at home.
Right. No, yeah, and then that's when I told you, I'm like, why are you even staying at the barracks? You can just stay at my house because I had.
Well, I went back to the barracks because remember I got the apartment at Punahou on a Punani. That's a real thing, by the way. It was in Punahou and on a Punani Street, or one of the other. I forget what it was. But
remember your neighbor talking about? Oh, we used to play Four Corners. Like
one pop.
Yeah, one pop.
Yeah, one pop.
We played Four Corners. What's that? Where if you could get to any of the borders, we wouldn't shoot you. And we're like, God damn, this nigga's crazy.
Yeah, I think one pop like, yo, bro.
He was wild.
Yeah, but yeah, that's when my homeboys, we all got the apartment together, and then that fell through. We went. Oh, the boat went out to do workups, and I didn't have a barracks room because I moved out of the barracks.
Right.
They closed the barracks down, and that's when I went to barber school out there.
Barber school.
Yeah, I didn't have to report nowhere. I had nothing.
That's when you came to our house because you
yeah.
When the MP showed up that one time, you were in a full beard because you hadn't been shaven because you were TAD, and they're like, who are you? And you pulled out your ID, and they're like, why aren't you shaved? And you're like, why are you fucking worried about it? Like, you know what I mean? And they're like, whose house is this? And Miss Ruth was like, it's my house. And they're like, what do you mean it's your house? Because she, even though she's Mexican, she looked like she was Hawaiian. So that's why we got we got to go, do a lot of different stuff because no one sweated us because they're like, oh, they're with, a local, whatever. And I forget why the cops showed up. I think we were just wilding that night. We
loud.
Yeah, someone somehow, some way, or they saw hella cars and just wanted to check in. Because technically,
I think it was the neighbors before the neighbors.
I'm saying technically we were off base, but still we're attached to base.
No, I know, but you had neighbors, right, or thing. But I think it was the neighbors before the ones that you were actually became cool with later.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. Someone called them on us.
Right. And because we had mad parties up there.
Bro, we did. Remember when you and Hawk were wrestling in the backyard and you hit him with the cell phone?